Hello and welcome to the Kscope podcast 125. Billy Reeves here. In this edition, the new Pineapple Thief album is out on the 4th of September. Versions of the Truth. We'll hear from Gavin Harrison on how much he loves Bruce Sword, and from Bruce Sword on how much he loves Gavin Harrison. Record Store Day is back. Mansun, Dead Flowers Reject on vinyl for the first time. We'll hear from Mansun frontman Paul Draper on how that album was originally conceived and about the man who replaced him in Mansun. Plus a little bit about the new Mansun box set and a live track from the classic legendary Brixton gig in October 1998. First up though, Swedish legends Anekdoten, the latest in their Kscope reissue series. A Time of Day is out now. This is A Sky About to Rain.
Just a lame attempt to ease your pain.
Anekdoten from A Time of Day, out now on mid-price CD and LP. That is entitled A Sky About to Rain. Anekdoten's tour is going ahead, certainly the back end of the scheduled dates in September and October in Sweden, so I'll be keeping an eye on that and see how that goes in the current climate. The Pineapple Thief, lots of action this year. We've had the Little Man reissue in May, the Record Store Day October, 24th of October, Uncovering the Tracks, a reimagining of early stuff with Gavin Harrison's input, and on the 4th of September, the brand new LP, Versions of the Truth.
You caught me in the black light. There was no way out for us. I thought it'd be a matter of time, but you lost your head. I followed you, but you were out of sight. I did everything I could to get you back into my life. It's not how I remember it. You sold me up before I had time to fight. No, it's not how I remember it. You cornered me. I knocked you out. Is that how you remember it?
Versions of The Truth, The Pineapple Thief, the title track and the new video from the new LP. Recently I caught up with the father of the chapel, Gavin Harrison, and the gaffer, Bruce Sword, and it's a very different world from the last time I spoke to Bruce.
We count ourselves very fortunate. We toured and finished the tour late December, which was, just right in the nick of time. And then came back and finished the record and we've all got studios at home, so
it's going to be very interesting to see what happens, live music, post Brexit. I mean, it's
there's lots
very interesting time.
There's, like you say, there's lots of challenges now, not just with like when people can start to mingle in sweaty venues again, but what is on earth is going to happen about English bands, British bands being able to tour.
Yeah, and vice versa, because you're going to have to, if you're a band coming here, you're going to have £1,000 in the bank to prove that, and it's going to be the same with merch, where you have to pay the VAT on it first.
Right. Yeah.
It's going to be it's going to cut both ways. Fucking nightmare.
It is a nightmare.
Now, Gavin Harrison, your drummer, is now much more involved in the embryonic writing stage.
He is, yeah. I think that we took that even further with the latest record. The input that we have together, I think, is a lot bigger.
What does he bring to that? Is he, how much is he interfering with the songwriting process? Because you said to me that, a lot of the times you'll sit there and you'll kind of fiddle with the guitar. There'll be a little guitar figure, and then there'll be a melody and an idea that goes over the top of that. Is that still the way things are written, or are you getting sort of like Gavin songs going, okay, here's a great idea for a song, Bruce, can you take it into 9 time? How's it all working now?
Well, it's still, I think the songs still start in that way, that I'll come up with an idea, a melody and a phrase, or maybe a verse and maybe a bit of a chorus, and then Gavin will come back and say, I really like that, really like this bit, but how about we chop this around? And then with this he's actually come back with some sort of deeper, I guess it's gone a bit deeper, because he's, without wanting to give too much away, he's got a few sort of tuned percussive instruments in his room that we've used on the new record, and he's also got an old whirly that says,
so he says
that, so he says, how about this, because I mean, one of the tracks, I couldn't get an ending. I was like, all right, it's really good, but I just can't. I don't want it to go back there. I want it to go somewhere else. And he says, Bruce, how about, why don't we try something like this? And he sent me back a sort of a phrase of chords, and I said, that's perfect. And then I would run with it. So yeah, it's a nice way of doing it, and I really like it, because working like this, because it's given the band a new lease of life in terms of where do you go with the music and with the songwriting when you've been doing so many. This is our 13th studio album.
Gavin, regular listeners to the Kscope podcast and my chats with Bruce will be aware of our conversations of his development as a singer over the most recent albums. He used to regard himself as a guitarist who had to sing, and now he's much more confident as a singer. Is your input helping that? Your kind of experience helping that?
Oh, absolutely. And Bruce is a dream to work with, because he's got no ego.
Yeah.
So I can say whatever I like, including, oh man, that's crap. That's right. And he goes, yeah, it is. Yeah, forget that bit. Or I say to him, I don't really like that intro, Bruce. It's really duff. So let's do something else. I've worked with other, particularly singers in the past, where if I suggested to them that I didn't think their singing was good enough in that section, or I thought the melody was duff, that would be quite an uncomfortable conversation that might really ruffle a few feathers. I once suggested to Bruce that I think he should get singing lessons to strengthen his voice.
Yeah.
I don't know any other singer on earth I could go to And I say, do you know what? I've got this idea. Why don't you have some singing lessons? I think it will really strengthen your voice. Bruce said, yeah, that's a really good idea. I'll do that. I just noticed that when we did, on the first tour, something like 11 back-to-back shows, his voice was struggling. And I said, maybe a vocal coach could help you strengthen your voice so you can do more back-to-back gigs without struggling. And he said, yeah, it's a really good idea. I think the same thing about what I do. So I'm full of insecurities and questions and doubt. I always think, I could have done something better. Especially if 6 months after the album's come out, I listen to it and I think, I've just had another idea for that song. Oh, what didn't I think of that?
Yeah.
I mean, all you can do as an artist is just do the best you can and hope people like it. You can't try to please the audience because you'll never please everyone, and they'll definitely let you know on social media. So you do what you think is right, and if they're, on the same wavelength as you, they'll recognise that and think it's an improvement or an evolution or a mutation, or however they think of it, that the band's moving forward and they like it and they support it and they play it to their friends.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I wonder if it's always been like that. Perhaps that's the link with the past. Perhaps when you and I were young and we thought, the music papers, the tastemakers, the John Peels and all the rest of it were leading. But when I think back, I do think, do you know what? Without Smith, I wouldn't have heard Joy Division. Without Johnny Widget, I wouldn't have gone anywhere near Orange Juice. So maybe it is that's the link with the past. And that's a really good point. Bruce, I think one of the most instant tracks on the album, and I think it's shot into my The Pineapple Thief top 5, is Demons. Tell me about Demons.
Bruce. Well, I think the sentiment of the song is quite a basic sentiment. I think that every one of us probably grows up and gets a bit older, and those demons probably become more numerous and start clamouring a bit louder in your closet. It's a very simple song, but it was written about a very specific event in my life that happened. Like most of the songs that I write, that they're about things that happened, and so it's really a cathartic. It was a cathartic process, me writing that song, and really it's an apology song. It's a sorry song.
It was only supposed to be a short-term thing. But the further we got, the deeper we dug in. Now I've let it crawl deep under my skin. Yeah, it was only supposed to be a short-term thing. 'Cause I got demons, yeah, you should know. You put them in me, and I will not let them go. Yeah, I've got demons. It was only supposed to be a short-term thing, just a matter of time before it all caved in. 'Cause I got demons, yeah, you should know. Put them in me, and I will not let them go. Yeah, I've got demons, yeah, you should know. You put them in me, and I will not let them go. Yeah, I've got demons. should know. You put them in me. I guess I knew this all along. I heard you. Here I've got demons. 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 It was only supposed to be a short-term thing.
During these strange times, people have done lockdown sessions. I thought yours, Bruce, were really good. The sound quality, the 2 cameras and all the rest of it. How did that all come about?
I remember Steve laughed at me. He said, how many beers did you have when you agreed to do this lockdown session? Because I didn't have a clue how to do it. So I found this software and how, because I knew I wanted to make it hi-fi. I didn't want to just do it through like a crappy speaker.
Yeah.
And I got this software, and then I thought, oh, it supports more than one camera. And I thought, let's put 2 cameras on just because I can. So I didn't really give it a lot of thought. I just thought, that'd be nice. And to set one up on, because I wanted to put a little GoPro on the end of my guitar, but I couldn't get that to work. So I thought I'd try and get it roughly. But
I think it's a terrific idea, because the GoPro thing is like when so many of your contemporaries and you, when you do live Blu-rays and DVDs and all the rest of it, that seems to be a bit of a thing.
Yeah.
So the GoPro above the drum kit and on the guitar, but it only works for about 2 or 3 seconds, I think. To actually have it in vision all the time might be a bit annoying. But
yeah,
no,
that's true.
It's really interesting seeing what you're doing with your left hand. And of course, you've done a lot of this in the past anyway, haven't you? You can strip Pineapple Thief songs down to an acoustic and voice.
Yeah,
You've done gigs like that.
When you do those stripped back things, they are real. You're really on your own. I mean, especially me. Now, you know, people when you're locked down like this, you really are on your own. So I didn't have anyone to play with.
Yeah. How did you feel about communicating with people like that? Because obviously you're getting this sort of like constant stream of people texting you, especially you fool doing a request show.
Yeah.
How's that? Because presumably some of them you know, some of them you don't. Your audience is quite disparate when it comes to geography. How did you find that?
It was really odd. I remember like talking in between songs, I'd be staring at my studio wall, but I knew that I'm talking to people all over the world. But so mentally, I was picturing all these people like standing in my room, so it was almost
naked.
Yes, I guess it's like an actor has to act when they're doing green screens. You know, I'm looking at this ball, but actually it's going to turn into a dinosaur or whatever. And but after a while, you actually believe it, and so I did feel like I think if you watch them back, you can see when in the first sort of 10 minutes, I'm like, oh my god, what is this? What am I doing? I'm on my own.
Embrace the madness,
and then embrace it. Yeah. So and like you say, when as soon as I started asking for requests, and then you see all these requests coming, I said, blimey, I wrote that song, didn't I? Blimey, yeah.
version of yourself have you been listening to? You will find your so-called love. You will find your so-called. You don't get to break it all and break the rest with someone else. You don't get to break it all and break the rest with someone else. Such a simple act got hold of you. What's the use of looking back and all that we've been through? You will find your so-called love. You will find your so-called. You don't get to break it all and break the rest with someone else. You don't get to break it all and break the rest with someone else. You don't get to break it all and break the rest with someone else. You don't get to break it all and break the rest with someone else. Where did you expect you will find the cure? What version of yourself will die before you will find your so-called love? You will find your so-called.
Break It All from Versions of the Truth, the new LP from the Pineapple Thief, out on the 4th of September. Now, Bruce was talking about the lockdown sessions. They really were amazing. I plugged my phone into my hi-fi. Tremendous sound quality. I know they've been recorded, so I wonder if they'll get a release. I'll try and find out from the powers that be at Kscope. And keep an eye out. Hopefully there will be a The Pineapple Thief tour shortly. Now, Record Store Day going ahead, 29th of August, imminently imminent. And there's another tremendous Mansun release. The first time on vinyl for the Dead Flowers Reject LP, the companion, the sibling to the amazing 6 LP. Paul Draper explains.
When we did the 6 sessions, we recorded about 30 songs. So we had 2 albums worth, and my plan was to make 1 album and stagger it and put out a second album, in pretty quick time. and the record company just wouldn't go for that. That's pretty normal now. Foals have just done that, their album in 2 parts, you know what I mean? And so the tracks just appeared sporadically as, you know, on EPs and B-sides over the next year and stuff, and the tracks were just wasted, and it was never... But I always told people that I'd made a second album at the time, and I did a little essay about it and put it out, and fans have got the tracks and put them together, you know, and listened to their own version of it, but we've never had it with the proper artwork that was done years ago for it ever been released. And so the fans are going to get a big surprise this record store day, when for the first time in 22 years they will be able to go and buy the lost Mansun record Dead Flowers Reject on vinyl from their local record store.
When you say that you recorded it at the same time as the 6 sessions, was it sort of like We Are Family and Say Chic when you're recording 2 albums at the same time? Did you know which song was for which project?
No, all as I had in my mind is I'm going to do 2 albums, so we're flipping from one track to the other. So we're doing a track that ended up 6. The next day we'd be doing a track that was... you know, we didn't know what it was. It was just a pool of songs, and then I was going to get them at the end and see how they all slotted together into 2 albums. But it just makes me sort of like my heart sink a little bit, and I think, God, we wasted so many tracks. We just never. If someone could have just sat down with us and we were a unit and put the right tracks out to.
Yeah, but why wasn't the sort of like the best of the 2 sets of songs amalgamated into one album then? Because 6 is a pretty nuts album, whereas this is there's a lot more pop on it. It's a lot more linear.
Yeah, well, that was my personal decision to take all the maddest, craziest stuff and put the album out like that, because I just thought we had enough in the tank that we could still make it a hit. And I remember people at the time saying, no one's going to get this album, Paul, but it'll be massive in the future. Yeah. And I go, well, why won't they'll really like it in the future? And I'm like, why don't they like it now?
Yeah.
And while I was making 6, there was roadies feeding me back information, because they were travelling up to Chester to sing with this pub singer.
Busy twiddling them,
making the album, and they were going to, all on my own, with half of them not even playing on it, and me coming up with a lot of the guitar parts, and but they were rehearsing with this guy, but he couldn't sing, and they told him to base his act on John Power out of Cast, so he robbed a lot of John's. He had his hair permed and dyed ginger, and John was a cool guy and a good songwriter. Still going, proper artist and all like that. But you don't want to copy it that much. And then they got the All Changed Cast album. All the roadies were telling me, and they were rearranging all his lyrics and his songs and the chord structures, and so they had a song where he was going, fly through my mind, I'm gonna fly in the sky, in the back. And they're like, the band are going, right, okay, can we do Wide Open Space? And he's going, no, can you and he couldn't get it, and he kept slamming his acoustic guitar down, because they said the singer had to have curly ginger hair, bob up and down, and have an acoustic guitar like the lead singer of the Seahorses.
Where do you stand on Record Store Day, Record Shop Day, as I'm insisting it be called in this country? Because it strikes me that this is the perfect reason to release something. It's, there it is in record shops, it's physical, it's on white vinyl, it's 180 gram, all the rest of it. It's perfect to get record shops up the agenda and spoken about. And yet it seems that the majors are using it to, sort of punt basically a load of old toot, and it worries me hugely. What's your opinion on Record Shop Day?
I'm big on it, I've only because that everything that I've contributed to Record Store Day, Record Shop Day, so far has been good. We did the Legacy EP, which just sold out straight away, which was a great record, because back in the 90s we'd do 2 CDs, you know what I mean? Yeah. So by the time we put it on one 12-inch vinyl, it had 7 tracks on it. Yeah. And we did Wide Open Space EP. Again, we only did 1,000, and it was in the top 10 on records all day up there with Bob Dylan and U2 and stuff. Yeah. But we only printed 1,000. We're only doing little runs of it, you know what I mean? And so their price doubles and triples on eBay and
Yeah, see, that
Discogs.
worries me as well.
Yeah, I don't
Concerning
like that.
you?
I really, really don't like that. I don't like that. And I will avoid anyone who tries to get me to sign things so they can pass it on. But I'm got no problem with genuine fans at all. I want genuine fans to get hold of this stuff.
You see, my fear looks like laughter. That's why you'll never hear me scream. And I'm learning to rule in my swimming shoes. Tradition has absorbed the sickest thing. And they're grabbing with paws. Somewhere I'm safe in their animal place. Claustrophobia reigns, ideology fake, but a city embrace. Trip me up, I become a nervous wreck. Put me in a padded cage, and I'm calling my domain with my shoelace. Trip me up, I become a nervous wreck. Put me in a padded cage, and I'm calling my domain. I know my fear looks like laughter. That's why you'll never see me scream. And I'm learning to rule in my singing shoes. Tradition has absorbed the sickest thing. And they're grabbing with paws. Somewhere I'm safe in their animal place. Claustrophobia reigns, ideology fake, but a city embrace. Trip me up, I become a nervous wreck. Put me in a padded cage, and I'm calling my domain with my shoelace. Trip me up, I become a nervous wreck. Put me in a padded cage, and I'm calling my Trip me up, I become a nervous wreck. Put me in a padded cage, and I'm calling my domain with my shoelace. Trip me up, I become a nervous wreck. Put me in a padded cage, and I'm calling my domain with my shoelace. Trip me up, I become a nervous wreck. Put me in a padded cage, and I'm calling my domain with my shoelace. Trip me up, I become a nervous wreck. Put me in a padded cage, and I'm calling my domain.
Check Under the Bed from Dead Flowers Reject by Mansun. Check out recordstoreday.co.uk for all the details of this year's releases. Now, Paul tells me he's putting the final touches to the second Paul Draper solo album, and of course the big news for Mansun is the Closed for Business box set coming out in November, which you can pre-order now, and they're going fast. Most astonishing collection of music, live stuff, unreleased stuff, album stuff, B-side stuff, rare concerts, rare radio sessions, DVD, including the track I'm going to play out with, the classic Being a Girl from the 23rd of October 1998 concert at Brixton. There's a video for this online. The whole concert is part of the box set. I'll see you for the next Kscope podcast. John Gom, Gaspacho, and Lunatic Soul coming up before the end of the year. Speak to you soon. Ta-da!
Being that boss, I'm sucking on a lemon, and I judge myself by the outlines I see. My better eyes that feel me, these things elevate me above animals. Feel like being a girl, being a girl, being a girl, being a girl, being a girl. Now all of my life, never tasted sweeter. I'm so boring, my clothes wanna keep someone else, want someone cool. Tax on cigarettes, treats my cancer. These things elevate me above animals. I feel like being a girl, being a girl, being a girl, being a girl, being a girl. Yeah, of my life. Never tasted sweeter. Fucking cannot comprehend the sea. Nor me happiness. God is much too weak a word for me. Made from Mansun. Being a girl, being a girl, I want to experience being a girl. I want to experience being a girl. I want to experience being a girl. The only pureness that is preached by Marx. Time to contemplate.